the jungle's back, got the natty pack in the orange and black.
Welcome to Week 12 of the Cincinnati Bengals Weekly Show on the Grueling Truth Radio Network, brought to you by Gridiron Mo, a new interactive football app where you get to call what you think the offense or defense should do during a live NFL game and see what all other fans have called also. So check out Gridiron Mo at www.gridironmo.com. As always for the Bengals Show, I'm your host, Mike Goodpasser. I want to welcome in my co-host, Joe Kelly. How you doing, Joe?
Hey, Mike. How's it going, man? Still not down on my Bengals. That injury bug that we've been so fortunate enough this year to avoid. I think that caught up with us and our defensive backs. We had, I think, 4 defensive backs that went out Sunday night, and it caught up to us. I think that was on that last drive. It was indicative how Carson drove on the ball right down there and put him in a position to kick the winning field goal. But overall, I still think this is a special team because I think they did enough things to put themselves in a position to win the game. So everything I've been saying about the team this year, I still stand behind, and I think they can get this ship uprighted and get back on track.
Well, and we have a special guest tonight from the Super Bowl 23 Bengals, one of the best wide receivers, I think, in Bengals history, number 85, Tim McGee. How you doing, Tim?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Doing great. Let's start off with this game. Lose 34-31 to the Cardinals. What's your first thoughts on the game, Joe?
Well, first of all, it was go ahead. I'm sorry.
Tim. No, go ahead, Tim.
Oh, well, it was an excellent game on both ways. It's sometimes we get caught up in measuring the negative side of a loss, but there was a lot of positives that went around and included in that game. First and foremost, I think both sides of the ball played well enough to win, and you got to compete at that high level. And I think they got a good experience, although they came out a little short. I don't think there was a need or is a need to press the panic button. Once again, in the end, the defense prevents you from winning. So got to tighten that up and go and kind of go from there.
Yeah, and I mean, me and Joe talked about that before. That the Houston loss. I mean, that happens to almost every team. You lose a game you're not supposed to lose. The question was, would they come out and play better against the Cardinals, which I think they did. Because I think the last 3 weeks they really hadn't played that well. I thought they played a lot better Sunday night. Joe, what was your take on the defense?
On our defense, I think that our defense, in my opinion, they were reading some of the social media buzz about how well they played, and we lost against Houston, but they played a great game. It was a third game in a row where they held their opponent for 10 points, and I think we took a step back. But it was Pac-Man not playing. You had Reggie Nelson get hurt. You had Denard get hurt. You had the other safety,
Sean Williams,
get hurt. Sean Williams get hurt. So I think that played a vital part, especially in that last drive. We were getting pressure on Carson early, and early in the game he was getting happy feet, and he just pretty much threw us 2 balls early in the game too that resulted in interceptions. But Carson, I've always said Carson was top quarterback. I still think he's a top quarterback. And I think this was a special game for Carson, and he rebounded from those early interceptions, and he came back with a vengeance. He came back in the second quarter, and in that third quarter, he really got their team going, and he made some plays. So defensively, I think we took a step back and it's about points. It's about points in this league, and we just unfortunately gave up 3 too many points in order to win the game.
Yeah, and Tim, you want to speak about the offense a little bit? I thought Dalton played well, but the big thing, and Joe knows this, I've been worried about it all year, is the offensive line play, especially at center. You want to touch a little bit on the offense?
Well, I think offensively, you never play well enough to win when you don't win. But they had enough success that they bounced back from the Houston loss. There's no question about it. They spread the wealth pretty well. They capitalized on third down. They did the things, again, a championship team needs to do. They fell short, but they showed a lot of resolve in coming back on the last drive, or the second to last, what turned out to be the second to last drive. But, again, the offensive line is lacking that continuity. So if there's one particular spot that you can kind of point that finger at and say has been kind of the weak link, it's been the offensive line of the performance. But, I think the key guy on that offensive line is always and will be the last year or so has been Andre Smith. When he's healthy, he plays at a high level. They just can't afford to be without him. Whitworth had a tough game, a couple bad plays here and there. But, they struggle at the center position a little bit. But if you look on the perimeter and the skill position, they're as loaded as any team in the National Football League. And Andy Dalton is playing at a super high level, and he's consistent. And, again, did they do enough to win? They scored enough points, but, unfortunately, when you're managing that clock in the last 2 minutes, you left a little too much time for Carson to do his job, and he did it, and he did it well. But offensively, I think you got to go in, and I talked to Hugh Jackson today, and Hugh says the same thing. Yeah, we got to tighten up a couple things, and that way we don't put ourselves in that position. They set the bar awful high, and I like the fact that they're trying to reach those standards that they created.
Well, and you brought up a point about the last guy leaving too much time on the clock, and I know social media has been blowing that up. Joe, 3rd and 2, a little over a minute left, no timeouts left for the Cardinals. What did you think of the call?
Well, in my opinion, I thought it was a situation where we were gassing. We were running the ball well in a lot of spots, and looking at it. Of course, it's the Monday morning quarterback. You look at it, and I did at that time. I did expect a run, if anything, because the Cardinals didn't have any timeouts left. So you throw a pass. There's a lot of bad things can happen. And if Peterson was healthy, then that pass would have been picked off, in my opinion. The kid that took Peterson's place was covering A.J. on that particular play and pretty much hit him in the wrong place, which was his hands. And it popped up, and, A.J. did make a great catch, but unfortunately he didn't get that last foot in bounds. It just leave a lot of things out there to happen. It was funny because Saturday I was at the Wisconsin Northwestern game, and similar situation. They were down. The other team didn't have any timeouts. 36 seconds to go. 2nd and goal on the 1-yard line, and the offensive coordinator calls the quarterback lines up a shotgun. And, of course, one of the bad things that could happen besides an interception, it was a sack. And next thing you know, they couldn't get the ball off, man. So there was a lot of bad things that could go with a pass. If you run the ball, if you make the 2 yards, hey, you got a little more time. You can possibly try and go for the touchdown. But if you don't, they stop it. You kick a field goal anyway. But that time you can burn off, 30 seconds. And that would have been 30 less seconds that Carson had in order to make that winning drive.
My thought on this, and Tim, maybe you can touch on it, give your opinion, is that I don't think that's necessarily the play Hugh called. I think they came out, saw man coverage. You didn't have Peterson out there on green, and I think Dalton possibly audibled on it. What's your take on it?
Well, it's hard to say because Andy has some leeway within the offense, but he doesn't have the leeway to change from, let's say, a running play to a passing play and vice versa. When you have a pass play called, even if it's check with me at the line where he has a certain number of options, but very seldom, unless the defense is giving him something so obvious, matchups are not in a progression in the National Football League. You don't look out there and go, oh, that second-year player is covering A.J. Green. You still got to go through your natural progression because now you're what's called forcing things, and when you force things, we know typically that doesn't turn out to be very successful. With that being said, now if a play was called and that was in your natural progression, or he skipped the progression, he skipped over progression, that's more than fine. But again, Joe hit a very good point. When you have one of the premier cornerbacks in the league out of the game, yeah, you do tend to, let's say, pick on, for the lack of a better term, or you look at that matchup as an advantage to you or your team. But if you can't go with they always say the games is just a matter of inches. And when you look at the possible catch that A.J. Green could have, should have, may have had, that's a game changer. Nobody's complaining. But once again, I'm not a defensive guy, but I just have very seldom in all my years, 20-plus years been around this league, have I seen on a consistent basis the prevent, keep everything in front of you, these gaps. Yeah. At one point in time, and I could be off here a yard or a second or two, the Arizona Cardinals in like 30 seconds had gone like 50 yards, and it was just beyond my imagination. And I don't know nor understand why you don't play a base defense, but I still think when you look at it throughout the history of the league, I think that's when the coaches or the defensive coordinator or the defensive coaches overcoach. Just play. And what happens, but don't give them anything. And, you don't want to play bump and run man-to-man because it's high risk, high reward. But nevertheless, you don't want to play where your safeties are sitting in the back of the end zone keeping everything in front of them. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, especially in a situation where you're missing 2 or 3 of your best DBs. I mean, to me, the reason the Bengals were successful in the fourth quarter is because they blitzed a lot because they knew that was happening, and they put a lot of pressure on Palmer.
Yes, yeah.
Well, and again, you can put that pressure on Carson, but nevertheless, remember, you make a couple tackles inbound, the game's over with. But, again, if you're backing everyone off the ball, and Joe knows this, there's nothing more frustrating for defense personnel to know basically they're going to hit you underneath and then they're going to head right to the sideline, and there's nothing you can do because the design of the defense is like that. So, and as an offensive player, it's, thank you, we sure appreciate it. And, you get 2 or 3 of those, 15, 20-yard catches, and guess what? Now you're in field goal range. And then when you have what could be the dumbest penalty in the National Football League this year, and, you mimic a snap count and you get caught, and when the referee is right behind you, well, again, sometimes you earn wins and sometimes you earn losses.
Yeah, and, I mean, basically it's come down to this. The games they've lost, they've been highly penalized. And, I mean, they've just made stupid mistakes. And you can't do that and win a championship.
Yeah,
but this team is still learning to win consistently. They're just as, from the personnel standpoint, the coaching standpoint, the organization, and the fan base, all of us, everyone shares one thing in common. We're surprised at their success. We were surprised at their success, and we all were anticipating, okay, when are they going to start losing a couple games here? Right now, when they were 8-0, we were thinking it was more of an out-of-body experience opposed to, hey, this is the way it is around here. There's a difference between the New England Patriots, which you come to expect to be 8-0, 9-0, 10-0, and the Cincinnati Bengals, who have the talent but don't have the consistent performance level that they would warrant that type of expectation as far as consistency is concerned.
Yeah, so we'll transition that to our next game is against the St. Louis Rams on Sunday. Joe, first thoughts about the Rams?
First thought is Todd Gurley. I think the kid has shown some special things this year, and as a defense, we need to go in. We need to game plan to make sure that we are hitting our gaps, staying in our rush lanes, playing that zone cutback that has been so successful against us, playing solid on the backside, our defensive tackle coming down or our defensive end coming down the line and not inverting the line of scrimmage and creating that cutback lane that has been so successful against us. I think we have to go and do that. I think after last week, I think our defense is good enough. I think our defense is one of the best defenses in the league this year. I definitely think that they'll bounce back. I definitely think that they'll hold the Rams under 30 points. And our offense just has to do what they are capable of doing and what they've been doing. I don't think the Rams pose any special threat. I think they have some solid guys offensively and defensively. But I think this is the game that we get back on track. I think that defensively we're going to get after them. We're going to get after get after their quarterback, and I think we're going to play solid against the run, and which in essence is going to help our offense out tremendously. And I think our offense, our offensive line is definitely going to have to control their defensive line because I do think that's the strength of their team. And if we can do that, I think we can be successful.
Yeah, Joe, Tim, sorry about that. What are your keys for the game?
Well, I don't think they're necessarily when you say keys. I mean, it's the Houston Texans reincarnated again. They're a team that you should on paper dominate. They've had that experience before, so they get a second chance at it. Although it's not on national TV. However, the Bengals have set a standard where, especially offensively, and I don't follow defense as much as I say I should, but when you look at the Bengals offense, they have enough air about themselves that it's more of you stopping us. Yes, we will study you. We will be prepared for you, but we're not making wholesale changes to our offense. We are who we are. We do what we do. It's going to be up to you to stop it, and they have that type of confidence in their ability. So when they're going into a football game like this, it's more of it's probably your toughest because that natural motivation will not be there. You're not playing against a prime time. There's no J.J. Watt. It's just, there's no fanfare going into this. It's just kind of a blue-collar game that when you look at it, if they win 10-6, it's going to be an ugly win. They must win where it's a dominating performance on all three phases of the game, especially from a defensive standpoint, because they don't have a lot of stars. And just like Joe says, the biggest thing that defenses cannot stand for to happen to them is the run game be effective against them. So I think from an interior standpoint, the offensive defensive line has to bounce back from last week's performance. The skill positions have to continue on doing what they do. They have to get healthy in the secondary. But this is a team that comes in here. You need to pretty much put them out, jump on them fast, jump on them early, but you got to be focused, and then you just got to finish them.
Right.
All right. And Joe, you played in the NFL. You played on a bunch of Bengal teams. You've been on teams where you get in a win streak and then you lose a couple games in a row. What's the mindset in the locker room to overcome a couple losses in a row?
Well, I can talk about how, and I want Tim to kind of talk about it also, how in the '88 season, you remember the '87 season that we had?
Correct.
It was a pretty bad season. But we came back. We knew we had the talent. We knew that we had the talent. We knew that we can compete with everybody. And I think this season is similar. I'm thinking that I do see the mindset, because at this level, in this league, everybody is good. You have some special players here and there. There are 3, 4, 5 special players on each team here and there. But overall, the talent level is so close that this comes down to a mindset. It's a mindset and your mental capacity, your mental ability to go out there and compete. This is not a primetime game. This is not the Steelers. So you don't have that extra motivation that you normally have. And you would think that you being a professional that you can go in week and week out and play the same. It is a difference. It's a difference when you're playing on Monday night. It's a difference when you're playing on Sunday night. It's a difference when you're playing in our league, Cleveland and Pittsburgh and the Ravens. This is the Rams. And you have to go out. And if your mindset, I see, you look at their body language, you look at how and things that they're saying after they lost to Houston, after they took this loss Sunday night. I think they're saying the right things. I think I still see that confidence level. But in this league, you can't. I think we almost had 10 penalties in the first half. You can't do that and be successful on a consistent basis. But I still think that these guys know that they have something special. I think they know that they can compete and at a high level. And I looked at that New England game. They're beat up. And I see where we are. We're second in the AFC. And I think if their mindset can stay at a certain level and their confidence level can stay at a certain level, and they go out there and do what they do, that we can get some wins back under that column, and we can start that momentum rolling like we did in '88. Hey, because we started 6-0, we lost. We wind up losing four to 3 more games. But we knew that we could compete with anybody in that league in 1988, and I think we proved that we could. That's how we made the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Sunday night, the 3rd and 2, where they didn't run the ball, is what made me actually feel better about this team because, they went for the win there. And, I mean, if he catches the ball, everybody's saying what a great call it was. But Bengals teams in the past, to me, especially in big situations in primetime games or playoffs, always seem to not really take a chance to win the game. They played it more to stay in it or not to lose it. So, I mean, the fact that they had the confidence to call that play in that situation tells me that there is an air about them that they can do something that most people can't do.
Yeah. Tim, what do you think about that, as far as the mental mindset and all that?
Well, I think overall, when I've talked to several of the guys, several of the players, especially the veteran players feel that they know they have something special. But special is determined by the performance and the outcome of the football game. But what they're doing, they're conveying to the younger guys, don't screw this up. We have something special. I've been in this league, and as one, Wiley veteran that's been there like 9 years, as he said to one of the younger guys, I was standing right there when he said, it's like, listen, I've been in this league 9 years. What's happening now, you're taking for granted like this comes easy. You may never experience this. And, Joe, we went through our ups and downs. And when we knew like you said, when we knew we had something special, you know it. You don't just know it with your mouth. You know it in your heart. You've been around these guys. You've gone to per se battle with these guys, and now you say, okay, we have talent over there. We have talent over here. Now we can go out. The next step is to play with that edge, that confidence, and then execute that. But when Joe, when you talk about the mindset starts with the edge of arrogance. You have to be right on that borderline where you teeter-totter back from confident to overconfident. And if you don't have that, you're going to be second-guessing yourself as an individual. You're going to second-guess the defensive calls, the offensive calls, the quarterback, the receiver. Once this team has gotten to a point where when we lose, it's because we wasn't supposed to lose, and it's because the guys in the mirror didn't control the atmosphere. It is not from a lack of talent, lack of effort, or a lack of preparation. It's because of what we've done. We didn't do a very good job. Hugh Jackson, again, he texted me today, and he said, we have to fix some things. Once again, he's not talking about the fact that 4 years ago, they had to play their best game to beat a Pittsburgh Steelers team that had to play an average game. No, they're saying if we bring our A game, not our A-plus game, just our A game and our B-plus game, we should beat at least 24 of the teams in the National Football League. And when we play against the New England Patriots, we understand we got to bring our A-plus game, but we feel our game, our highest game, our best game is better than their game. And that's where you have to be in order to get back to where the 8-0 started. You're going to lose. Everyone in that locker room knew there would be a blemish on the record. Now, you can't have the snowball effect where now you start pointing fingers at guys and the cancer starts to grow. You're not seeing that. You're not hearing that. You're not feeling that in that locker room. It's not coming out. hey, I tell you one thing that's been really odd about this entire situation. I don't know, just by being around some of the players and staff, I don't know if they feel the fans in the city of Cincinnati, and they know definitely not the nation, has really engaged in them and believe in them. There's still that self-doubt. They're still wondering, they're kind of scratching their head going, why does our quarterback throw for 350 yards and 1 interception, and that's all they talk about? They talk about his hair, the color of his hair. They don't talk about his performance.
Yeah, or the moves a couple weeks ago against Houston.
And it's incredible the lack of support the team has received. You do not hear positive comments about Mike Brown unless they're losing. You don't hear anything about Marvin Lewis being the coach of the year unless they're losing. And you don't hear any type of support coming from Andy Dalton. And I think that is just absolutely mind-boggling, and it leads me to believe, and this is a strong statement, I don't think the fans in Cincinnati are very good fans with this team, with this era. I just don't think – I think they've been so hurt and disappointed. They're like, well, I'm on the bandwagon, but you know what? I'm going to keep both feet ready to jump off because – oh, here we go again. And Joe, I don't know if you feel it, but I sure feel it. Like, oh, my God. Andy throws an interception. It's like, oh, here we go again. They lose. Here we go again. And you're starting to hear this, I told you so. I told you so. And it's like, wait a minute. They're still in first place. They're heading to the playoffs, which that's where they're going to be rightfully judged on. I get that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Mike, you and I and Reggie Williams talked about that last week, how here the team is 8-0 and they're playing on prime time, and there's a couple of bad plays here and there, and they're booing them at home. And even though we didn't play our A game, we still put ourselves in a position to win the game at the end of the drive, at the last drive, and to get booed at home. Reggie really expounded on how I don't think we ever got booed at home during that Super Bowl season.
That's what I'm saying, Joe. This town embraced us. We were celebrities. Matter of fact, you and I both know people. That's all they talk about. They still talking about that. Where you go somewhere, it's still talking about Boomer and JB, and they're still talking. I don't know why. I cannot put my finger on why the city of Cincinnati has not embrace this team and their success. I don't know. I don't know if it's they don't have that it factor where you just can't describe it. They don't have the celebrity or the Ocho Cinco's, or they don't have the Boomer Esiason. It is just something that I cannot put my finger on it. I don't understand it. Why there seemed to be a cloud to say, okay, we know it's going to rain at some point in time, and when it rains, it pours based on history. But the dynamics of this team is totally different, and I wish people would understand that.
Yeah, but you get a lot of people that are beat down over the 15 or 20 years with the Dave Shulas and all that. And I know what you're saying, but I think that is what it is. I mean, and then you get where you get some success, and then you lose in the first round, and people just have given up. I mean, all you want to hear in the off season is everything. At least once a week, the Cincinnati Enquirer brings up the tax deal. So I mean, it's not like there's anything positive there. I mean, they do. I mean, at least once a year, you get a story about the tax deal and how the taxpayers are being taken advantage of, and they are. But you know what? The deal should be about the politicians that approved it too. I mean, they're pushing it through, and then they work for the Bengals. So
I get ready to say that. They are on staff with them now.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is this. Either get over it or just stay home. I mean, either cheer for the team or don't. I mean, I think also it's a younger generation who I don't think get invested in teams like they used to. Today most young kids are like 2 years ago they're fans of the Miami Heat. Then the next year they're fans of the Cleveland Cavaliers because they're more fans of players than they are.
But to that point, Mike, what I have witnessed is there is a void in the younger generation. My daughters are 25, 21, and 19, and they could care less about the Bengals win, lose, or draw. They could care less. They don't ask, did the Bengals win today? And I think when you go to the stadium, you typically see an over 40s crowd that I think, based to piggyback on what you were saying, they're so bitter about the lost decade, they carry it into the stadium with it. So anytime there's a fumble, just like Kajana Carter, just like this, it's just like, what a bust. God, how do you pay this? And it's like, wait a minute, you do realize they're 8-0 right now. But, again, I just think they are, by that lost generation, I think they lost a core of fans that are now 19 to 26 in that area, and I think they're probably going to need to do some marketing, which they probably won't, but to get that base of that young fans back, and if they don't, you're going to continue to have this. Well, those were the people that were booing. The people that was older, they were the ones booing.
Well, if you remember, Tim, mid-'90s, late '90s, early 2000s, very few Bengal home games were even shown in the area, which also cuts into that demographic when you're showing the Browns or the Steelers or Ravens or whoever week to week.
Yeah.
There
lies the problem. If you're looking at the demographics of the average Bengal fan, she are probably over 40 years old, and they can only relate to the Kenny Anderson / Boomer Esiason / both Super Bowl days, and then after that, it's been even the fact that the Bengals have gone to consecutive playoffs, they're still down on them. Nothing's going to win them back except a Super Bowl, in my opinion, a Super Bowl game where they're participating. If they don't make the trip to the Super Bowl, okay, they won one playoff game. People are going to go, see, all they did was won one playoff game. It's the most pessimistic crowd right now.
Because this is the thing. I can tell you this. I'm 47. I remember the Bengals from about 74 on up. And the thing is this, and I was saying it like 15 years ago. I've changed my mind since everything still goes to hell. But it's like I've seen them go to the Super Bowl. I want to see them win the damn thing just once.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We all want that.
But see, these people don't realize you harm the team by booing the team.
Well, here's a great example. When you watch the game on Sunday night, don't you realize Carson Palmer used to be Andy Dalton, where you didn't appreciate him, Joe fan, and he went somewhere in California, and then he went on to Arizona, and they absolutely adore him. Do you want that to happen to Andy Dalton? If your should-be superstar quarterback goes to a softball game and you boo him, and now you're going to blame me for wanting to leave? Come on, people they do have emotions, and so does professional athletes. And I'll go somewhere that would appreciate me, the fact that I'm one of the better quarterbacks in the National Football League. So
and you can't take out the
fan base
fact of what happened with David Klingler and Achilles Smith on Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
But you know what? I played with those guys. They didn't stand a chance. That was just like the offensive line was like Joe and I blocking for him. And trust me, I'm not a very good center. Never was a very good center. But David Klingler, every time I would come to the huddle, he had a bloody nose.
Well, his first game he got sacked 10 times. They throw him against Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. And you haven't heard from the poor guy, so who knows? He could be in probably a mental institution right now. Who in the heck knows?
Hey, I've talked to Achilles Smith on Facebook. He's willing to come on the show and tell me all about Mike Brown, he said, too.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure Achilles Smith and David Klingler can tell you about every cloud in the sky during their careers because they spent so much time on their back.
Right.
But
I think we got to, the team has to win. Andy has done something that no other quarterback in the history of the Bengals has ever done. Boomer, Kenny, going to 3 straight playoff games and doing the things that he's done. Statistically, he's done things that no other quarterback in Bengal history has done. But like Tim said, he throws an interception and you get the boos. But I think these guys, I think they feel that they're special. And bottom line, you got to go out there. You have to get back on track. I don't say, hey, we have to win out. We can, looking at going 12-4 would be awesome. And I think they're totally capable of at least doing that. And I think that, you'll in order to get a lot of this fan base back, because in that decade-long drought, this is the only stadium that you can go to, and when you play at Pittsburgh, there's no advantage.
Yeah, there's no noise.
There's many Steeler fans here than there are Bengals fans. So you have that, and I think with this generation, we have to win. We have to go deep into the playoffs. And minimum, you go to the AFC Championship and things work out. You get to the Super Bowl, you can get that, some of those fans back. But those are still the fair weather fans. You do that and you lose the Super Bowl. You come back, they'll boo you the first game of the season. So it is what it is, and it goes along with being a professional athlete. But this is a pretty bad fan base when you look around the league and you look at all the terrible teams. You look at Cleveland; they have that dog pound, and that dog pound is still there after they left and went to Baltimore, and then came back. That dog pound is still there. So you have to just go out and do what you have to do, and hopefully we can get some of the fan base back, and we can get this city back on fire like we did had it in '88.
Yeah, in 2013, when they played the Chargers in the playoff game here, I was excited because I always take my kids to the game. It's never that loud. I remember telling them before we went to the game, I was like, it's going to be – because I was thinking it would be like 1988. And we get there, and it's a little loud at the start. And then the Chargers run for like 6 yards on first down, and half the crowd just sits down.
Right.
It's like the game's over.
To piggyback again on what the view that I think and I hope will happen is if you look at the construction of this football team, this is not a team built to win today. This is a team that's built to win for the next 3 to 4 years. If you look at it, they don't have any impact players that can leave under their contract expiring. You're going to lose some talent. That's always going to happen in any professional sport. But you look at the nucleus of this team. This team was constructed. Number one, they have front-end talent. Then they have depth. And some of the depth happened naturally where last year the second-teamers became first-teamers. But the good part of that is when they go back to second-teamers, they now have the experience. So when you look at it, those guys, if they don't get plucked from other teams, you're looking at, okay, you go 2 games into the playoffs this year. Next year, if healthy, which is always the mitigating factor there, if healthy, this team will compete year in and year out. So I hope the core fan base recognize that you don't have a gone today, here today, gone tomorrow team. If you look at the Baltimore Ravens and you look at how they constructed that team is they win and then they go downhill and they go awful fast because they're not built for the long haul. They can't be built because of the cap issues that they face when you have success. So I think the fans need to enjoy what's in front of them right now, understand that if they fall short, the entertainment value is there, no question about it, and then look towards that. I don't think it's going to be a huge disappointment if Marvin doesn't win a Super Bowl. I think where he's resurrected this team from and where they are now, and if he hands it off to another coach, whether it be Hugh Jackson, Joe Kelly, or whoever it may be, I think the Cincinnati community should be awful proud of what has transpired because you got to even give Mike Brown credit for being a little flexible, even within himself. He defined flexible a little bit different than most of us. However, we have a product that we are damn proud of. We're excited to see. We go to the stadium, and right now it's becoming more of, like you said, the atmosphere is more of a golf course, golf tournament now atmosphere opposed to a true jungle. And I would like to see people appreciate that and embrace it.
Yeah, and I don't think people understand the effect they can have anymore.
Right. Yeah.
There's no question, and Joe hit it. When you go to you can name the stadiums that you go to. The Cleveland Browns has the only college atmosphere in the National Football League. From the time we would get off the bus just to go in our hotel, those crazy, well, I'm from Cleveland, so I can say crazy fool was greeting us and harassing us from the time we had to go from the bus on the curb to the hotel door, and they were there to not welcome us or to unwelcome us, and they let us know how they felt. And when we got to the stadium as we came out, the dog biscuits was flying, the hecklers was there. It was a very intimidating yet relaxing atmosphere, because if that's something you come to expect in college when you go into hostile environments, Paul Brown Stadium is kind of last on my list as places to go. It is not a Seattle Seahawks. It's just not that atmosphere, and I don't know why. I just once again, my wife and I, we sat in the stands at the Bengals Browns game, and that was the Bengals Texans game, and that was my first experience as just a pure fan, just sitting there watching it, and I was disappointed big time. Big time. There people are. They're just not engaged. I don't know why.
No, and I don't know what the way the culture is anymore. There's not as many stadiums as there used to be like that either.
Yeah.
Well, I just think the players are doing what they're supposed to do. Now, I will say this: the Bengals have some of the worst marketing. Some of the worst entertainment. It's like.
They've got marketing?
I'm sitting there going, okay, what was that about? It's like I think they can do some better things. But once again, I think that demographics of crazy, boisterous, loud fans is that younger crowd, because Joe and I have reached 50, and I can't sit there and scream for 5 minutes. So, I'm a quick out. So you need people like my daughter and his daughter to get down there. They can act a fool for 4 hours. We can only act a fool for 4 minutes. So, I think you need to change the demographics.
I feel you on that one, Tim. Maybe if they put oxygen mask around the seats and everything, help the older people.
Yeah, I can't even yell over the speakers at the stadium or anywhere I am. So it's but we just got to appreciate what we have here in town. We have something special. We have a very talented team. There's some things that we can improve on, but I'm excited about the season. I'm excited about the rest of the season. It's it's a, as they say from a cliche standpoint, it's a long jog. This is not a sprint. And, number one thing, you got to stay healthy. And I think the Bengals have health on their side. They have some nagging injuries. But, I know they lost the corner for the season, but they don't have any devastating injuries right now. And another thing we take for granted, our quarterback, the quarterback under center, has come to play physically in every game since he's been here. You're taking that for granted, because I can tell you right now, I cover the Bengals, Joe covers the Bengals, Mike, you cover the Bengals. I don't even know who the Bengals' backup quarterback is. I truly cannot tell you right now who's the Bengals' backup quarterback. If Andy Dalton was – that is a shame, isn't it? If Andy Dalton would get hurt and A.J. was jogging on the field, half the people, if not 70% of the people, will turn to their left and right and go, okay, who's the backup quarterback? Who's this guy? Oh, yeah, A.J. McCarron. Okay, I remember him from Alabama.
Remember this, though. Remember he played that good half of the preseason game, and everybody in social media is saying he should have been the starting quarterback this year.
Yeah, he should have been the starting quarterback.
That shows you how much they know.
Yeah, they're stupid. Those fans are.
There's a reason they're on social media.
Exactly. Nobody wants to listen to them anyway.
Exactly, because everyone gets a chance. All you need is a computer or a phone.
Yeah. That's kind of how me and Joe got on this show, Tim.
No, you guys have what's called insight, understanding, experience. They have a computer and a smartphone.
All right, at least we got a little bit more than some of them people, Joe. Let's see.
Yeah, a little bit.
Hey, real quick, you got a prediction, Joe?
Yeah, I'm looking at us to definitely rebound. I'm looking at our offense staying on track and getting back and scoring over 30 points. I'm looking for our defense to look at what they did last week. They played well in spots, but I looked at them to have a fire lit underneath them for giving up that last drive and letting Arizona score over 30 points. So I'm looking at the Bengals scoring 35, the Rams 17.
All right, Tim?
I'm looking for that piss and vinegar to come out. We're going to pay you for our last performance. We're going to take it out on you. I'm looking for a real lopsided game, something like 40-10. I'm looking for a statement game to get back on track and do what they have to do and consistently, again, focus, fast, and finish. That has to be their mantra.
Yeah, I'm going to go 38-3, Joe. I just don't see how St. Louis can score if the Bengals play well. Their quarterback play has been terrible this year. Their offensive line's not great. I mean, Gurley, I think, ran the ball 13 times for like 50 yards last week against Baltimore.
Yeah.
So I think their offensive line's not very good. And the guy that impressed me last week, which hadn't really up until that point, was Michael Johnson, who actually looked like he was playing like he did a couple of years ago before he left.
Yeah, Mike made some good plays last week. He did. He came alive.
So, I mean, if you keep him going, you get Dunlap completely healthy. And Geno Atkins was a beast again last week. I mean,
he was a wrecking ball, wasn't he? Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm. He dominated everything. I mean, the leverage that guy gets, I mean, is unreal. Yeah. And, I mean, his feet, his hands, I mean, he's as good as it gets at the interior defensive line. I'm going to go 38-3 Bengals. Tim, hey, thanks. It was an honor to have you on here, sir.
Yeah.
I sure appreciate you guys inviting me. It's always something special to share moments with good friends and ex-teammates, but more so, like I said, a brother in Joe Kelly. And, Mike, I sure appreciate you having me, and I enjoyed it.
Hey, thanks a lot, Tim. We'd love to have you back anytime. We'd love to have you back in the off-season, maybe talk about your career for a while.
That would be a short conversation, but if you want to have it, let's do it.
You were pretty good, man. I'll tell you, I remember.
I don't remember it.
The one game I went to the one game I saw in Cleveland, 1989, I saw a number 85 make the best catch I've ever seen a number 85 make. So.
Oh man, that's saying something right there.
Mike, you're talking to probably the best wide receiver in University of Tennessee history, bar none. If it's not the
Carl
best,
Pickens would fight about that.
Well, Pickens, you look at the career. You're looking at the career. They both had, tremendous careers. But when you look at the thing is, you look at UT. I think Penn State was linebacker U. I think Tennessee was wide receiver U.
I think they had like 7 guys come out and play in the NFL that were on the group you were with, didn't it, Tim?
Yeah, we had a lot of success, and we're trying to get that back right now. But program is kind of on the upswing, and you talk about myself, and you talk about Carl. Hey, it was just an honor to put that orange uniform on and really enjoy. And now you're talking about some excitement and some fans. You've never seen 100,000 people act so crazy, and I mean every single one of them. So. That was it was a privilege. It was an honor. It was a lot of fun.
Tim, didn't you guys? Wasn't there a streak where Tennessee was having wide receivers drafted in the first round for? I don't know.
Oh yeah, we had. 7 years. Yeah, we've had the most. I think it was like 7 straight years, something like that, and we had the most receivers playing in the National Football League for quite some time, and not just participating, but with contributing. And we've had some great ones. I'm just grateful that my name has been mentioned among them, and it's arguable who was the best. And just Joey, this spring I actually put together a reunion, and I had most of the guys that came down, and who didn't show, of course, Carl Pickens. The normal.
Picked in the mountain somewhere. He's in a mountain somewhere.
We knew Pick wasn't going to show. Send him 2 invites, but because he ain't gonna get neither one of them. But anyway, to meet some of the guys, Larry Severs, Stanley Morgan, et cetera, it was a lot of fun. It really was.
Yeah. Well, hey, it was great having you on, Tim. Like I said, you're welcome back anytime. Hopefully the Bengals get a win, go to 9-2 this week.
All right, fellas, I sure appreciate it, and who they? So let's get it back on the winning side.
Yeah, most definitely.
Thanks, Joe. See you guys. See you, Mike.
Yep, thanks, Tim.
Yep.
Okay.
Any last words, Joe?
Yeah, it was awesome. Tim McGee and I, we started this journey together. So we both were the Bengals first-round picks in 1986. So yeah, we started this journey together, and we remain great friends to this day. Our kids grew up with each other, and it's great, and it was great having him on the show and talking. Last couple of weeks, all of these guys were just their football knowledge. Their football IQ was really high, so it was great and awesome getting to hear from guys and his offensive perspective, and Tim to stay really close to the game. Down is really close to the Bengal organization, and talks. He actually talks to Mike Brown. He's one of the few.
Think he'd get Mike on the show?
Oh wow, maybe Tim could.
That's what I said. I think maybe Tim could get Mike on the show.
He talks to Mike, and he talks to.
I'll be nice.
He goes down. Eric Ball. He talks to Eric Ball, so he's pretty close with the insides going ons of the team. So it was great having him on there. But with the Bengals, I think he also realizes that we do have something special this year, and I'm not panicking. I'm not really worried about the two losses.
To me, panic mode's not unless you lose 3 straight.
Yeah, even then, you still every game they have been winnable. These 2 losses have been very winnable. They're going down to the last drive. So in the past, there were just games where we just played bad and we just lost. We had no chance to win. Right now, 10 games into the season, we can easily have been 10-0. But the thing is now you got 6 games left. Let's finish. Just finish what we started. And even if we went 3-3, Mike, it's 11-5. If we just go 500, it's 11-5. But I think we'll definitely do better than that.
Yeah, but this is the thing, Joe. Right now, 11-5 is a step back.
But Mike, it's about getting there healthy. I'm looking at the best team in the league in the AFC, New England last year. This year, I looked at them last night. And, Mike, I'm telling you, we can play those guys. And
I'm telling you this, Joe. I think the Bengals are better than the Patriots.
I think they are. I'm looking at what they have last night, and I'm looking at what Buffalo, because to me, Buffalo is just an average team.
Well, Buffalo's a team we dominated on their home field.
Yeah. So I'm
of course, they didn't have Taylor.
But even that, I still look at what our defensively we can do against Tom. I'm looking at offensively what we can do against their defense. And with Tyrod, Taylor, their quarterback, and all the bad throws he would. That's not Andy. Andy's going to make those throws. We're going to. I just see us being able to compete with them, beat those guys, and if they're the best thing that the AFC has to offer. Man, my confidence level went up last night.
See, my worry might be more towards Denver now, just because if DeMarcus Ware is healthy, they've got a pass rush that could really give our offensive line trouble.
Yeah, like Tim said,
where New England doesn't have that. I mean, to me, New England is a solid football team that's coached by maybe the greatest coach of all time and quarterbacked by maybe the greatest quarterback of all time.
Right, exactly.
That's what gives them something.
Yeah, overall, Mike, I think it's still looking up for us. I think we have to stop this. We have to win. If we're going to say, hey, this is a special year, we have to win Sunday, get back on the track. We're 9-2, and we're home
go to Cleveland
against Pittsburgh.
Now we go to Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We go to Cleveland. We win that. We come back at this thing, Mike, and we're 10-2, and we're at home against Pittsburgh. Mike, this will be a Super Bowl atmosphere.
Yeah, I keep thinking that, Joe, and then I show up to them games, and I haven't went the last couple of years just because the San Diego playoff game just made me sick. I mean, the key to me to go to a game is for the crowd to be going nuts. The game is a huge playoff game. If not, I would rather sit at home and drink my dollar beer instead of paying $9 for a beer at the stadium and paying $30 or $40 to park. You know, I want the atmosphere if I go to a game, and it's just it's not there right now. Hopefully, a win against Pittsburgh would sell everybody that maybe this is the year.
This is real. I mean,
because this is the thing. We don't beat Pittsburgh here very often. We do all right out there. It's when they come here that the problem is.
Yeah. I think against Pittsburgh the first time there was a lot of things that we if we could take them back, we would. But we, like I said, we still put ourselves in position to win. I think our offense will be a lot more successful against those guys, and I think our defense. You know, our defense, if healthy, if we have our DBs back, I think we will do well against them. You know, so I'm
losing Denard worries me because that's basically your number 3 corner.
Yeah, it's tough. Denard still has some growing pains to come over, and unfortunately, you know, he's out. But I think, you know, if we have Pac-Man back, you know, Reggie Nelson come back healthy, and the other kid, 36, I keep forgetting his name.
Yeah, Sean Williams.
Sean Williams. You know, I think we'll be fine. I think we'll be fine. I like the kid from USC, the corner. He was talent-wise. He's just as capable. I think now with Denard being out, he's going to be forced to be put in some situations. And I think the Rams, Cleveland, I think this would be some great minutes he can get and get some experience. And that's going to help
Cedric
us.
Ogbuehi, the first-round draft pick, was activated yesterday too. The offensive tackle.
Oh, was he? Yeah. Okay.
They activated him when they had to make Denard inactive. So maybe that could be some help on the offensive line because I know Tim say like Andre Smith, but I think Andre Smith's terrible. I think he's a decent run blocker. I mean, his feet are so slow.
Yeah.
I mean, they just are. And I never saw why you'd draft a guy with the 6th pick in the first round that's not a left tackle. He's a right tackle.
Yeah. Well,
because, you get 2 good tackles there. You can extend Whitworth's career by putting him at guard.
That would help. Well, we see. I know. They talk a lot about him. This kid and his size and his ability. I know Dave Lapham was comparing him to a young Anthony Munoz.
Oh, he can't do that. Dave Lapham no better than that. You can't compare anybody other than maybe Jonathan Ogden. No. To Anthony Munoz.
Well, what he said was that he had never seen anyone that big and massive that could move like he was 240 pounds. And that's what he said when he first seen Anthony Munoz. That's what he's seen. And then when he seen this kid, wow, you get up there and he's moving like he's a tight end.
Anthony Munoz was 6'7", 270 pounds, playing shortstop and third base in the College World Series for USC.
Yeah, right.
That's a big-ass guy to hit the ball by.
yeah, that's a big dude, man. It's a big dude.
But, we got to be wrapping this up. We're almost top of the hour.
All right. Well, it was great, Mike. We had a great show.
Yeah, we'll be back next week with a win.
Yeah, definitely. My attitude would be a little better. Still kind of pissed that we, I'm not down, but, need to get so I can stop listening to all these bingo haters. But we'll get back on, and I think our show will be 9 and 2 next week, man, next Tuesday.
All right, sounds good. Everybody make sure you check out the Grueling Truth Facebook page. Check out Gridiron Mo at www.gridironmo.com. So for Joe Kelly, this is Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to the Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.